Welcome back. And so on that note, we cross over to the Ashanti region where we're going to be bringing you some matters as our man on the beat, Maxwell Agbagbah, has actually hit the campaign trail in Kumasi following former President Mahama's tour there. Now, the NDC flag bearer says he will grant general amnesty to all persons jailed for small-scale mining for engaging in that, activity and related offences if elected president on December the 7th, 2020. That, among other things, that he's been making mention of the construction of a polyclinic to cater for the health needs of some members of the community in the Ashanti region. Let's cross over now and interact with Maxwell Agbagbah, who's been on the beat and who actually has a lot for us. But before we get to that, there's a bit of a wrap on what exactly the former president has been up to, former President Mahama.
The Swami magazine was brought to a standstill as the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama arrived. Hundreds of people, some of them draped in the NDC colours, stood on buildings, cars to listen to him. He says he will transform the metal engineering and vehicle repairs hub.
The magazine will be any doctors I will see
For places like the Swami magazine, all the roads and drainage system will be improved to make it appealing for people to bring their cars here. Especially Swami magazine, if I'm elected, we will construct all the roads here and construct gutters, so this place will not be muddy when it rains.
As I said, Mode and Dadwa, and if you did any I told the people, now obey here, I am sometimes.
You work with metals. People get hurt here. You have a clinic, but we will upgrade it to a polyclinic.
Now, my polyclinic no be strong. If you say you be accident and emergency center,
there will be an accident and emergency center. Normally, you find them in major health facilities, but the polyclinic will have one.
And so that polyclinic, a accident and emergency center.
He has also been reiterating his promise to completely abolish the legislation that bans the importation of salvaged or accident cars into the country.
Why
have you suspended the legislation? It has to be completely withdrawn from Parliament. I know because of elections, they are saying the law is there but will not be implemented. They are waiting to see the outcome of the elections. If we are elected, we will completely abolish that legislation.
On day 2 of the NDC presidential candidates tour of the Ashanti region, he started from the Moshi Zongo Park in the Menshal North constituency, where he met some Muslim leaders, residents, and Zongo chiefs. Former President Mahama has been touching on a wide range of issues there at the Moshi Zongo Park. He stated that on a free senior high school policy, if the NDC is elected into power, the party will change and modify the free senior high school policy.
Well, let's tap into what exactly the former president has been saying on the back of those promises. Quite a number of them, with regard to those who had been arrested for illegal mining, among others. Let's cross over now to the Ashanti region. Maxwell Agbagbah is my colleague there, and he actually joins us. Maxwell, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. Now, what can you report? What has been going on with regard to the former president, the NDC's campaign?
Well, he's been saying a lot of things. He's been giving the people the message that he brought to them. One of them has to do with what he calls a total reform of the mining sector. Well, for some of the communities, a lot of the communities that we visited, he told the people that if the NDC is elected into power, the NDC will make sure that persons who were incarcerated for engaging in illegal mining will be freed. He acknowledges that indeed the people have offended, have committed a crime against the state, but he says that as part of a broader mining reform, we need to start on a clean slate, and that is why he will pardon all the people who have been arrested for engaging in illegal mining. In fact, it has generated a lot of conversation here in Kumasi, and today we are here very close to the KJT market. Just behind me is the KJT market. One of the one of the projects that the former president has been touting during his visit here. In fact, yesterday when he visited the Asantehene, he mentioned that this is one of the one of the projects that he is really proud of, and he's mentioned it many places where we have visited. So today we are roving very close to it, and we'll be finding out from people what they make of his promise to free persons who were incarcerated or who were jailed for engaging in galamsey. Let me get closer to some of them here. Let's see who we can speak to. Sir, you're welcome to join us. Akwaba.
Thank you.
Pacha Frau saying?
Ofori.
Ofori. Okay, Ofori. Pacha, President Mahama or call the campaign or say to Abama or not or power. What may I achieve or so more galamsey or money now, bed job, and Passa say, what you saying?
Menene nyadwene.
Okay.
Ezanse o man no emra wom.
Okay.
Na yehunu ne galamsey for eye wo environment titro ne yensuo.
Okay.
Yese no ewo atifin na ekọ anafo na obi akosa no wanom na wakonya yare.
Okay. Well, he says he does not agree with the NDC presidential candidate because we saw the harmful effect of illegal mining and how it polluted our water bodies.
Enu no ema o mining nyina bagitum se yen stop wade no se de be ya yensuo ne yebetimi adinini na akoyi amaye. Enu ndi se aban no oteso asabele ne hye sa amra no na yagitum na obi fumoy na ban ne twen na so na se also ba na se obi ne ze wan kasa na nyamra so na wo ba bedie mi hu se nyamra na wo ba bedi so onzo se ubedi ade so a usua ya o se ubebo Ghana emra ho ban so na afi bo Ghana ho mra ho ma na obi ato Ghana mra na wo se wo de wo koyi na pie san so akoye galamsey enti wo yi na pie na de okobo okro no e de na kotum so e ono so yi na pie ala ba ne de. It is a mimi who says, okay, and it's a home family and a baby boo a minor. Name dear, a best suit to Ama Abia near Wope, what achievement was Aka, Entina or press or Baba Abedi Mampeni. Okay,
essentially what he's saying is that he disagrees with the NDC presidential candidate. He says if you're elected as president, you take an oath and you swear to protect the states in all forms. He thinks that if this is allowed, it would more or less be like encouraging, illegal act, because he says that galamsey is an illegal act, and these persons we are talking about have been jailed because they committed that particular act. He's saying that if you are freeing them, what about the armed robbers robbers who go about stealing stealing from people as well? Inti would you also but also to say amount for bebrena as dia omedi kranomunya but ono say so ba I say ni pape mu a person mo sesa mining no omo the new mining reforms there ba nti person start on a fresh slate.
Okay, menene ya dwene say mining no opese yetu eyoma no ade ba se yetu ne yetu no kwampa so a why not? Okay, enko ha obi sabi mimi nkotuna na afo na de ote atifi mimi nkotuna atifi na de ote na afo nkohunu ho ama na mimi mfa mi sika anya dai enko because every man na wo mo ye ne sesi na wobɛkɔ baabi te sɛ mimi kurom de mimi kurom abɛkɔ abɔdɔm ɛyɛ mfato ho a wɔn a ɛyɛ mine no ɔmo tɔ sɛ chas water nsuo edi firi kurom ɛna ɔmo akɔnom adentira nsuo so na ɔmo te ho sɛ ɔmo asɛ nsuo no edie ne yɛte wɔn a yɛnya sika nkɔtɔ saa chas water na sɛ nkɔtɔ saa nsuo ne bi ɛnom no yɛnkɔnom no na ne yengugu nya saa eti sɛ wɔso bɛyɛ ne kwampa so de a fɛn no na mmom deɛ mimi hu sɛ aban so ɔte nso ɔno so abɔ mmɔden sɛ ɔyɛ small scale mining ɛde ama community biara enti ɛno na wobɛhyɛ mu kena deɛ a agree with you and yeah, I agree with you.
Thanks so much. Well, the point he's making, essentially, he's saying that he comes from a community where there was illegal mining, and at a point, the people were actually buying water from other areas to drink, although they were very close to the bank of the rivers. He thinks that if this is encouraged, we'll go back to the old states that we found ourselves some time ago. It's interesting this is coming up, especially because in the areas where the NDC presidential candidate made the promise, it was received with overwhelming endorsement. A lot of the people I spoke to on the ground told me about how economic activities, especially. In fact, yesterday when we had the Swami magazine, a lady I met who sells in the market says business is no longer good because illegal mining is not, galamsey is not happening. Let me find out from this gentleman what he also thinks. Can ubet me bra name or not? Minu bonkomo.
Ganyo bisu anime bonkomo. Yeah, from me, Mr. Japan Moses Koduya.
And come on, yeah, boy, now also what been trying to say.
If I am common the home.
Galamsey, no, former President Mahama says Oba, Wama, Omuya, Yachi, Omudia Tumu, no be John.
Yo, Eradi Muno, me will see a galamsey, a buy so a breaky. Galamsey Juma, Ewa Ghana, Samaya Nkoye. Ebinum Swakoye. Me who Sakrono no mabo, some so more Yajuma, and Yachi Womo. This Omo Yajuma Yachi Womo dear. Emra Basa buy so a breaky, you know. And I say Ochi Womo. Sana Omo Yana, Yachi Womo. Eradi Muno. Sa we so break ya dia na wa ho kwai se otimitire hu nipa kotomu nti eno de ka menko ade a sa de ya wo se adwuma no wompe na wo yenyaye no sa mrantie bi a na nipa binum nso akoye na ya che wo mo de ya ene ya hu ni kwai se wo ye dai wo che wo mo etwa se ogyai wo mo if we say ne wohwemu a ete no se unua bi fom wa fa che no nti sa ba ne sa na minimu fa ho
who supported their NDC presidential candidate John Mahama.
Manage home pa.
I didn't know we did.
Nienti manage home ne say o se galamsey fu no munya galamsey adwuma. Edi so munya idea dia na ye say wasama o mo ye dia. And ye na etwa so o ye dai. Ogyai o mo nso o mo ye dai. Mra o ka say o munya na o che o ma na say ye na o che o mo. E na mpese mbusen. And no chere wo mo and I say nso asama wo mo ye den
I say woman yachi almost sia omoda prison no esan say or the new mining reforms na eba ntino woman wo she prison sia no obeja wo wuto abama no oba obeja wo
manage hu etwa so oja wo mo ai
and am so adentia
ne ntia so oja wo mo ne say emra bia ni hu kwai say ye den etimi eche wo mo nya mfunso
sia emra na e won che say ukoye galamsey I say chew the two.
See a chew.
Got mine. I say
just a mrano ya jumasa.
Mrano ye.
Ewa Ghana say okoye galamsey aye chew.
Ewa Ghana.
And ani okoye galamsey ni ya chew dia. Na ne wa yam funso na ya de ya chew atumu dia. Tade na just adwuma a wo ya ne ya chew wo ho. Na just wa yam funso. Ana ne make meboa. Ndi sanka ya de say adwuma ne ya gyae dia. Ene na omo nso a ya kire wo mo nso twase ye dan. Ye gyae wo mo. Ndi sa na me hu ne fa.
Okay.
They say so adwuma na ekoso e na wo mugumu enya sa etie wo mu kwai sa ba yo timi jai wo mu
two person jaw. Okay, well it's been a very convoluted conversation, but essentially what he's saying is that he thinks that persons who've been arrested for engaging in galamsey should be freed. He supports the call being made by former President John Mahama. Let me find out from this man also who's selling here. Opinion Michao. Bibi Aboko. Okay. Former President John Mahama say Mutu Abama no ba Woma ya chi omo say omo ye galamsey omo da jail sisia no oba obeja omo. Ye pese eji wa dwen tren. Won say.
Oh. Isa obi sabe Ghana ha obi di bone. Na samra na chi no a. Sa wo say adi ni tumu a emra ni di ni di a. E wo samra ni di no. Samra ni di a emra ni no. Nti to no ba no office samra ni wo mo di a. O ho kwa so yi wo me samra di wo mo di a. O say adi wo mo tumu.
Okay. See the man say so ko illegal man na chiwa and say with them. But no say sisi a person oba just started on a new slate as part of new mining reforms our day ba. Nti ono ba obeja wo ma ya chi omo di aso.
Ne samra no wo be ye firi ho ana samra na da ho no wo ye firi ho ana say emra no
wo ma omo dem sisi a no obeyi omo obema yi omo epi.
E na me kire say emra da ho say illegal man wo ya chiw. E na so obeyi omo epi. Nti wo yi wo se mra no wo busu ana say wo ye frunti na emra ben so no ogina odi yi wo mo afiri bo
say oye mampenyi our sir to me no at the point to grant pardon to people who have been arrested and jailed.
Na just say no so oye na sa dia say bi obi twutuo ekokum obi a wadi awu emra che say di ni twum na oye mampenyi ni no say madi awu nti mi twumi ni nti wakum obi kura mi di jaw eno e baboye.
Inti maybe say we support and
me support.
Okay.
Me support.
Okay. May I say? Okay. So you heard him also there. He says he does not support that promise to free persons who have been incarcerated for engaging in illegal mining. As I was saying initially, this is quite different from what we witnessed, in the communities that the former president and NDC presidential candidates, visited. There, when he made the promise, a lot of people were screaming, shouting in support of the promise that he made. It's quite different, completely different from the reaction that we get in here, very close to the KJT market. It's quite understandable also because a lot of the communities that we visited were a bit closer to the mining towns. So we're learning that some of the people actually moved from those communities to the mining towns to go and do illegal mining, to go and do galamsey. But now that security agencies have clamped down on the activities, all of them have moved back to those communities where they originally came from. And a lot of them have been complaining that they really have lost their source of livelihood. So it makes sense that in those communities, you get an endorsement of what the NDC presidential candidate is saying. But as I mentioned earlier, it is at variance and completely different from what the reaction we are getting here very close to the KJT market.
Well, thank you very much. That is Maxwell Agbagba, who brought us up to speed on developments in the Ashanti region with regard to former President John Dramani Mahama, the promises he's been making, and how the people have been responding to those.